Hello, my name is Renee C., and I'm the owner of EasyDrupalTutorials.com. Please take a moment to read this little note. I also own another website called Drupal How-Tos. In this video tutorial series, I'm actually going to talk about the 6 things that you're going to want to pay attention to when you're launching a new business. The gentleman here who wrote this blog is at startuplaunchR.com. I highly recommend that you go to his weblog and subscribe to his RSS feed. In the previous tutorial, I did talk about that you need to test your product before you launch it by doing a AdWords campaign. I really agree with what he says here. And you'll also want to get up and running as quickly, as cheaply as possible. The next concept is you should be able to outsource the bulk of your work. There are places like Elance and Rent-A-Code or Odesk that there are people who live in a third world country, like in Pakistan or Prague, where if you gave them like $1 an hour, they're totally in heaven. $50 to give them to reward them a job is like giving someone $5,000 that's living in a higher standard of living in North America. So not that you're exploiting those people, but because the cost of living there is so cheap, when they're making 50 bucks, it's like someone here making $5,000. So go ahead and use those resources. I made the error of not outsourcing for the first 5 years. I survived, and I was very, very lucky to create a 5-figure income monthly. And now I just find that I'm having so much fun outsourcing at Elance, and I'm meeting all kinds of interesting people. So many people burn themselves out like I did in the process, so I don't recommend that you follow my footsteps. He also recommends don't be cheap in your outsource activities, which is true. Like if you find that you award your projects to the cheapest person, and if this person doesn't provide a good product or a good service, you're going to end up wasting so much time emailing back and forth, where you could have hired someone for a little bit more money and they would have got the job done for you on the deadline. So go ahead and set a deadline. Now he also mentioned that if the web designer programming isn't your strong suite, find someone in Elance and they can do it cheaply. And that's true. You don't want to spend 60 hours taking a course on how to web design your web page. In fact, I would recommend that you download Drupal modules and themes by accessing the tutorials that I offer at Easy Drupal Tutorials, and you don't even need to hire someone to do the web design or any of that web programming for you, because Drupal is a beautiful content management system. All you have to do is add the content. And also it says, he's mentioning here, you should never buy anything that isn't required until you're making a lot of profit. And I totally agree with that. So if you haven't started making money yet, it doesn't make sense to run out and buy Architectural Digest wooden handcrafted desks or filing cabinets and coffee machines and water coolers and logos and be handing out this kind of stuff to people, because you don't want to end up being bankrupt. I hate it when people say in the statistics, like this person here wrote in the comment, if you see here, JRandom42, he wrote that with all your good advice, he says 4 out of every 5 small businesses fail within the 2 years. And I agree with that. There's a high rate of failure. So instead of focusing on that, why don't you do some preventative medicine and take some of the advice that this person follows, as well as sign up for my Easy Drupal Tutorials classes, where you don't have to spend a lot of money to learn how to build a Web 2.0 community website. The last tip he gives you is you should be able to scale the business. He's mentioning that this is perhaps the most important rule of them all. Once you start a business, it's not like getting a job. The end goal of your company should be that it functions without your presence. Your business should function in the same way whether you're selling 10 or 10,000 products. So he says, be a police officer who delegates your task and let the cars go through and pass through. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this tutorial and enjoy the wild and wonderful ride. Thank you for tuning in.